was Edgar Allan Poe's birthday, so I felt that it would be a good place to start. I obviously, you know, Poe is famous for The Raven, Dream Within a Dream, romance, but
he also invented the modern detective stories. You know that?
I did not know that.
He did. He
Did not.
invented so no CSI or Burn Notice.
And he's a really odd guy, and you probably know that just because of his stories, but you'll learn quickly because of his life. That's quite a big book. He was born in 1809, Boston, Massachusetts, and he grew up an orphan. Later, Poe attended the University of Virginia to study law.
So he was going to be a lawyer?
He wanted to be a lawyer, but it was only for a semester, and he dropped out because it cost too much. Now, not because of, like, you know, financial aid was on his butt, but it was because of he drank himself and gambled so much that he wouldn't even show up for classes anymore.
So the classes weren't expensive, but all the booze he was
Yes. Poe was pretty much the frat brother of UV, so...
Was he in a frat?
No, he was in a frat.
No.
At this point in his life, what would a broke alcoholic gambling romantic do? He would, of course, join the military. Oh. It makes complete sense. So, at the age of 18, Poe climbed through the ranks at a good rate in West Point because of his intelligence, really.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, he even attained rank as a sergeant major, which is pretty high for someone of his age.
For a student, that's
for
really
18,
good.
too, for 18.
Yeah.
So, now... Here's the part that a lot of people kind of miss out on, because, you know, he joined the military, and then people just say, oh, he dropped out. And then they don't really focus on, like, how he dropped out or what happened.
That's kind of important. Why?
Poe really hated the military. You can just tell by how he looks. This guy
I think he hated death, or he was obsessed with death, and so the act of killing people would
yeah, exactly. So one of the reasons he involved himself, like I said, is to better his relationship with his father, but they had a falling out. And he wanted his stepfather's inheritance because he was a wealthy merchant.
Okay.
But once that relationship shattered again, he said, "Screw the military. There's no point in me being here anymore. I'm not getting my father's inheritance." So instead of him just saying, "Oh, I'm gonna just drop out," he decided to be creative with how he wanted to get kicked out of the military. And he started missing class. He started boozing again, gambling a lot, ignoring his duties. Which only just made them more, you know, when the military, when you start missing all these things, it just makes it worse for you. They make you do more duties.
They make you keep doing more and more.
So he says, I'm going to do the ultimate thing.
Yeah, just the worst.
The one thing that will get him kicked out. He uses a dead and bloody gander to simulate...
A gander is a...
What? Is a what?
What's a gander?
It's a gander. I have no idea.
Look up what a gander is.
I have no idea. But
we should have looked that up before.
It looks like a goose.
Oh, a goose and a gander.
Oh, goose. Okay, goose and a gander.
So he took a bloody goose.
He took a bloody goose, and he apparently used it on one of his academy officers to like simulate like a dead head. So like this dead goose, he was like shaking it.
Just carried around a dead goose?
Yeah, he's
carrying around people?
Goose. That's what he said.
And they didn't kick him out for that?
That's what it says. No, because that's not that big of a deal.
Oh, no, that's nothing. Just walk around with a dead goose and shake it in people's heads.
The real bad thing is what happens next. So it says in West Point's, they have a log of what happens, of course, with their students.
Of course they keep good track
and they
of
say
everything.
that he just neglected parades and roll calls, and he neglected them from the 7th of January to the 27th of January. The real story is what West Point didn't put on his paper. They left this part out.
Unheard stories.
They had to show up every morning wearing a white belt, white gloves. If you go West Point today, they still do the same.
They still do that every morning. They come out in full military dress.
Yeah, and they salute the flag and
they parade around.
Yeah, they do
in public. Anyone can go out to see.
Yeah. So he showed up, just the white belt and gloves.
No, nothing else.
Nothing. Just he was naked.
Just him and his little Poe.
He was completely, absolutely naked. He showed up for a military drill just wearing nothing.
And you've been up to West Point during school year. It gets pretty cold.
And not just that, but those guys. They seem very stern.
Are one of the world's most renowned writers.
Just naked. just absolutely naked for a drill, and that's how he got kicked out. I would assume at that point that's the breaking point. I googled like history figures naked. I've got nothing. And the real kicker is this: is that the guys who were his military buddies funded his first book. After all this,
after all that, well, he's probably a hero.
They still funded his first book. So
struggling writers out there, that's how you get your first book.
Yeah, that's how you get funding for it. So show up naked to something, wow.